Hello people, we are here for the Soulvent Records Podcast, milestone episode 60, and you can see that I don't have Dex in front of me, but I do have in front of me Rich Visionobi. Welcome, mate.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm buzzed to be here with you, and I've got to gas you up for a little bit because we're here to talk about Visionobi Weather the Storm, your album, your debut album.
Yeah, it's real.
How
crazy.
does it feel to have it in your hand?
It feels pretty mad, yeah. Like, obviously so much time and effort went into it to like finally sort of see the aesthetic was a big moment actually. And yeah, to hold it. To be fair, I prefer to hold the vinyl. It feels weird holding a CD. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Crazy, isn't it, really? You think how much work or like people's work went into it, and yeah, blood, sweat and tears and the emotion and stuff. Like, yeah, it's nice. And obviously Jack done a beautiful job on the artwork. Absolutely. Probably messing with your questions there, aren't I?
We'll talk about that later on. You mentioned it there, a lot of time and effort and work goes into it. It's been 25 years in the making. Give me some early memories of 25 years ago, picking up a pen, starting to write bars.
Yeah, so that sort of hashtag was just because it felt quite fitting, because I'm the longest prayer in the world, and I've taken 25 years since I first wrote my first lyric to releasing an album. But also just, you know, having worked like as an MC in some capacity for that amount of time, it's a bit mind-blowing, really. And I think sometimes people might hear that and think, oh, he's not that old. And I get that, because I haven't been playing out for 25 years. But when I was 13, I started writing lyrics and experimenting with, you know, listening to various different like people, artists, and sort of even like writing down their lyrics first and then rehearsing them, and then being like, oh, I'm going to do my own. And yeah, honestly, it's just that kind of like teenage dreamer kind of vibe, really, that I think a lot of creatives go through. And yeah, I suppose my journey was no different from anyone else's. Like, I was awful at the start and have worked hard to get where I am now, and I'm a little bit better than awful.
It's not too bad, mate. It's not too bad. Just looking back at your label list that you've released on, right? It's a pretty much a who's who. I won't read them all out, but obviously Metalhead's here, Carnelian, Sun and Bass, Overview, Liquid V. There's not many labels that you haven't featured on, right? So you must be reflecting positively at this point on the journey to get here. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I can be quite hard on myself at times. I think like lots of people, I think, that work in this industry, especially as like an MC, I think it can be tricky to navigate at times. But you know, when the dust settles and I do think about it, like, yeah, I'm proud of where I've come from and where I've got to, and you know that, and I just, you know, do also feel very lucky to just still be here doing something that I love. Like, I'll never get over the fact that get paid money to shout at people in a rave, and you know, can make beautiful music with friends of mine and release a beautiful aesthetic like that, and have that body of work. Like, it was important for me to do an album. Like, I know we live in a market that's very EP centric at the moment and single release, you know, like people prefer to go that route, and I get it. And I probably would like to do a bit of that now as a little bit in between, but I've just always wanted to do an album, and yeah, it was important for me to have that body of work. And I think as a lyricist, it's nice to sort of tell a story. It's almost like a little book, is the way I kind of look at it. Yeah. Hopefully other people see it like that as well. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you feel that you've changed or evolved over the years as an artist, right? Because it's that I mean, there's no short answer to that question, but
no, I was just laughing because I was just going to say, like, got more moany probably. got more of an old man moan on the go as I've increased in age. But I suppose the serious answer to that question is like a lot. There's been a lot of progression. I don't know, man. I really, really spend a lot of time trying to write complex bars that, you know, effectively are can be quite confusing, I think, and are often lost in a rave setting. But I'm just a rap fan, and that was what hip hop and rap was to me, and that's, you know, my biggest influence has really come from there, mixed in with the sort of flows of drum and bass, I suppose, and that merge those two sort of different styles of MCing sort of merged together, which is why I'm kind of a mixed bag. I think I like to do a bit of double time here and there, half time, experiment with lots of different flows, and don't have a particular style I think you could pin me down to. And that was what it was all about, just being versatile and experimenting with all these different flows. But it was always, I'm not so much, I wouldn't say I'm particularly good at writing like catchy stuff. There's a few bits in there that I kind of went a bit out of my comfort zone and tried to be a bit more engaging, I suppose, with the listener. But ultimately, I just want to write long monologues and like leng bars, Mike. You know me. Like.
I mean, as a fan of your music and listening to the album and some of the other stuff you've done, it's clear that, it's clear to me that there's some very powerful messages and you think about it deeply, right? Because it might be sometimes third or maybe fourth listen of the tune, and I'm still hearing, new layers of things that I've pieced together in my head. So it must take you an age to actually crystallize that and be able to put it into music, right? I'm suitably impressed. Like, I'm gassing you up a little bit.
You always gas me up. And I'm absolute hype man number one. I love you for it. And it means a lot. And in all honesty, it's because I'm not the most naturally talented rapper. Like, I'm not the best freestyle rapper. I can freestyle a bit, much more confident on my own. I'm quite anxious with it, and it took me a long time to get confidence in front of a crowd, something that I learned over time. But yeah, I mean, it's really nice to hear you say that you're picking up on things like on the repeat listens, because I like to hear that people are putting the effort in to clock what I'm going on about, because sometimes, honestly, I'll often write a bar and I'll be like, what am I even chatting about? Like, at the end of it, I've just forgotten, because every line I know in that moment, then it's kind of gone. It's kind of beautiful in that way. I've spoken about it before, like my style, I kind of try and keep it, like, it's sort of like, can be complex, but also quite like vague. So it's like, you might interpret something in a particular way and someone else might have a different spin on it. And I always liked that idea, and I feel like Jess did that very well, and he was like my biggest influence. And it's like the bar then becomes personal to the person who's listening to it. And I think that's what's very important. The most important thing for me is to connect with people through music, and anyone who connects with my music, it's just pure love. And it's just like, I just don't think there's anything like really more beautiful than that for a creative. And that's effectively what I'm trying to achieve. I don't make it easy, I don't think, but that's maybe part of the beauty of it. It's like, if you're willing to kind of give it the time of day, and and you like sort of multiple meaning and the deepness and emotion in bars, and then being a little bit confused and a bit curious as to what I'm talking about, I think what I do probably resonates with those kind of people, so by doing that, I'm sort of almost bringing like-minded people into my space, which can only be, that's good energy, right? So
that's what drum and bass is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, 100.
So you, just thinking back, talk to some of the labels that you released on. Your first Soulvent feature was Butterfly Effect in 2017.
Yeah.
Did that plant the seed of where the record label you might like to release your album on? Why did you feel that Soulvent was the place for you with this record? Because I don't imagine you were short of people wanting to help you to put this out, right?
You'd be surprised. Like, honestly, Soulvent, I just got so much love for Soulvent because they just backed me. And it's not easy. You come with a folder of tunes that's like half a folder of tunes, maybe a little bit more than what we ended up with in the for the sort of final amount to like cut from. But a lot of them weren't finished, and then you've got the politics of different producers, different labels. It's Joe will tell you how much of a labour of love this was. It's not an easy thing to put together with that many featured artists, and love to him for all the work he put in, because he's been amazing through the whole thing. And in honesty, Butterfly Effect started it by the fact that I met the guys through that, and that was very early Galaxy days, and it was all the little Soulvent family, and it was a very beautiful thing. And I sort of met the guys, played a couple of like the nights, like the early on nights, and then sort of then we were all like, we knew each other, we were affiliated. And I guess when I started sending this out, a couple other. You got to think who it suits, and what I'm looking to do. I was very closely affiliated with Metalheads at the time, and like Shogun. My album could have never been a Metalheads album because you have to fit a certain aesthetic for that, and I wanted to experiment a bit more than just sort of writing like real headsy, jungly, kind of techie stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, obviously I'd love to do that, but it's like first album. It's like I want to kind of show a few different strings to my bow. And I think Soulvent was just the perfect home. And I sent it to a few people, and they were just the only ones that really got back to me and that were keen. And they were like so keen that I then just didn't want to send it to anyone else. I'll be totally honest about that. Like, you get knockbacks often, and I think other labels didn't see it as something they maybe wanted to back. And like, when someone presents me with that energy, done. Like they were really excited about it, really wanted to make it happen, really pushed for it, and then we negotiated, and that was that. And I just think I'd rather be with someone who's super enthusiastic about your music and wants to help you along your creative journey than someone who is maybe just, I don't know, like
waiting for you to finish it and then go, it's finished, rather than helping you go on the journey with you to take it from that seed.
100. And also
grow it.
People who are thinking more of a numbers game or whatnot. For them, I think it was just like, oh yeah, like we love you, we love what you do, like we trust you that it will come out good, and we'd like to go on that journey with you. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it, because I don't think that's often the case, It's more of a business deal. This was a bunch of friends wanting to do some music together. That's how it started, and it went downhill from there. But sorry, Joe. As in, it gets stressful. There's things to sort out, and like I said, it's been a labour of love for him and for me. There's tests along the way, but we survived them all, and we're stronger for it. And
what kills you doesn't make you stronger.
Yeah,
right?
man. And it's just the end result. I think we're all really, really happy with, and that's the beauty of it, really.
We are. Talk to me a bit about the title of the album, because
you've not heard that enough already.
Any self-respecting Visionobi fan will have heard you say those immortal words, right? Was it ever going to be anything else?
It could have been something else, because, well, the only reason that tune exists is because of Filth.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that wasn't a tune concept that I came with. That was Filth being just the ultimate G that he is, being like, we were working on, I think we worked on the Truth already, and he knew I was doing that album, and he was like, I'm up for being involved. Someone else like really keen to be involved, love working with you. We've known each other for a long time. It was like the energy I needed is like, sweet. Truth, we'll talk about that in a bit, but smash that out. And then he was like, I want to write the Weather the Storm tune. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean Weather the Storm tune? He's like, the Weather the Storm tune, Rich. And I'm just like, you're a joker, Phil. And he's like, yeah. He's like, come on, man. He's like, we got to write the Weather the Storm tune. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. Like, to be fair, why not? Like, I
didn't know that. I thought you had that one primed in the locker from day dot. Because
the original lyric that I used to MC in the raves is different to the little chorus I put together for this. I adapted it in order to make the tune more of a tune. It was more of just like a little rave hook. So like, I evolved it in order to make it a tune. But yeah, man, honestly, props to Phil, because that's the reason that tune exists. He was the guy with the idea, the concept, delivered the tune. He's like, make you a nice liquid tune. Like, he done it all, mate. I just added my hook at the end and then wrote a verse. And then obviously we were like, okay, let's get a vocalist involved, got Solar involved, and it was beautiful how that all panned out, and the rest is history.
You're stealing my bits when we get to that section. Sorry, so I'm going to move you on and ask you about the artwork, right? Because you mentioned Jack at the top of the show. Yeah. Not only the pack shot for the cover artwork for the album itself, but all the kind of singles this year. Yeah. Antidote and Believe Now.
He didn't do the first two, but
he Paradise and Wayside.
Yeah, he didn't do those two, but he did the rest of them. And all the IGs, and also Weather the Storm was the Weather the Storm, Antidote. Yeah. And everything from then onwards. Yeah, man. I mean, Jack Springbert, just my guy I use for everything, really. He organises my chaos. That's the best way of putting it. Yeah. I'm like, I'll send him like like probably start with a voice note of me like rambling, and he'll just be like, Rich, man, send me an email, you idiot. And I'm like, all right, sorry, dude, I'll get this on an email. And then, yeah, I just reel off all the sort of ideas that I have. And then he just streamlines it into this, just always this beautifully finessed, clean, simple yet kind of crazy aesthetic, which is what you kind of got there. And yeah, I mean, honestly, man, props to Jack. He's amazing. He did my logo. I just use him for pretty much everything because he's a really good friend of mine. And again, it's that energy that I want to be inviting into my life and my creative space.
Excellent. Right, just before we go into do the listen on the album, I was looking over the track list, right, and there's collaborators and featuring artists that you've obviously got long-standing relationships with, but also some that you maybe haven't worked with before. How do you contrast that? I mean, my guess is that you've got some familiarity with those long-time friends or collaborators, so things may be a bit more comfortable. But the new people they haven't worked with before, maybe there's a kind of like you've got some out-the-box ideas, or how do you compare those two?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of the tracks weren't really like made in the studio. It's just sort of like ideas, and then I develop ideas, and it's sort of bouncing to and fro. We can talk a bit more on your track breakdown of how certain things came about, but in honesty, there's not much of a different approach, man. I just like to get the vibe of a track. If I like a track, I'll just connect with that vibe, and I'll just pick one of the techniques that I'm going to write, whatever I'm feeling that day. I've got a number of different ways that I'll approach it, and I'll just pick a particular route that I'm going to go. You know, it'll either be off the cuff writing, or there'll be like a little brainstorm, or I'll, you know, develop some flows, or, you know, just numerous different ways. But whatever I'm feeling, I'll just get in the zone of that track, and it just evolves from there, really. But most of the processes on this, you know, we're a bit of just a to and fro between producer and vocalist, really. And then obviously other featured vocalists as well. And then you're just sort of being like, that, I like that, but I don't like this. And it's kind of a mix and match, and you know, putting the pieces to the puzzle together. I'd like to work more in studios with people off the cuff. But yeah, like I do find in my own little headspace, I just get a bit like, I like to get weird in my own space. So it tends to work quite nicely for me how I operate. But yeah, I would like to explore that a bit more in the future, because I'm sure I'll learn a lot about myself. And it's not like I haven't done it, but it's more bedroom studio vibes than collaborative like live collaborative process, if that makes sense.
Well, that is a path to take for all your future releases, the EPs you're going to do next, right?
Yeah,
awesome.
Hopefully.
Okay, well, we'll take it from the top then. So starting with track number 1, Tree Line, featuring Mike Kiss. Talk to me about working with Johnny, because he's super talented multi-genre producer, right? Like,
yeah, his sound's beautiful. I've always been a big fan of what he does, and Goldfat and like Mr. Porter and what they're doing. I think it's just beautiful liquid with like soul. And yeah, man, this track, like it went through quite a bit of evolution, this track. There was a couple of versions with the before that I was actually really happy with personally, that I was like, yeah, this is calm. And I'd listen, because I relentlessly listened to that album as I went through, to be like, you know, like nitpicking at things. And that I actually listened to loads and was just like, you know, just absorbing it, seeing how it sat with me over time. And I really grew to love it. And then we changed it, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. But again, now it's funny that you learn a lot through that process of just being like, actually, the reason you're like that is because you've listened to it so much. And now I've listened to the new version so much, I'm like, this is definitely a better version. So I guess that's where A&R really helps. And yeah, man, like he killed it. It just, the emotion in this track was just, I had to go the route that I did, you know, on a real sort of deep kind of thought-provoking, negative kind of headspace of how the world is. And obviously it just was a natural fit to start the album on a really light note.
There you go. What a way to start the album. Enjoy Tree Line featuring Mike Kiss.
times I wanna disappear and hide, duck and dive in the ricochet of lies. A fool's errand when you let a fool misguide. Only takes a split second for a rebel to arise. I'm no Sherlock in this mystery of life, but I've magnified the glass and I'm following the signs. Soul searching my misery, I write so certain there's more to this than meets the eye. Done with this facade, bluffing the cards, tricks up sleeves, merry-go-round dance. Dangle carrots held just out of grasp, odds stacked against, never stood a chance. Mad times didn't ask for this blindfold. Page after page of tragedy, the narrative cold. Is it the nature of our species that we under-evolve, juggling Rubik's cubes that seem so simple to solve? Probe the tree line, threaten what's in the distance. Piece part of the puzzle, a never-ending hindrance. Spot the scripts upside down and backwardly written, inconsistent, not echoing natural existence. Fibber after fibber, get more and more bitter in this game of Chinese whispers. Blurry is the picture, secrets and soul sold to the highest bidder. Remember, history be written by the victor. Times I wanna disappear and hide, duck and dive in the ricochet of lies. A fool's errand when you let a fool misguide. Only takes a split second for a rebel to arise. I'm no Sherlock in this mystery of life, but I've magnified the glass and I'm following the signs. Soul searching my misery, I write so certain there's more to this than meets the eye. Spend a lot of time sitting on the fence. Reality become a past tense. My heart wrench for memories of past when. Use writing to cleanse, it sharpened the lens. Existence is more and more ambivalent in this game where it's hard not to play the idiot, the big boss. A false promise of a predicament, hunting the holy grail, a Monty parody pilgrimage. Antics not scripted, irony twisted. Jokes always on us like we was quick-witted. Twice shy, once bitten, let the venom sink in. My sunglasses turn black, rose tinted. I long for the vintage, simple life dreamer, peacekeeper, shadow chasing Peter. A believer lost in the ether, trying to find my way home with the rest of you creatures. At times I wanna disappear and hide, duck and dive in the ricochet of lies. A fool's errand when you let a fool misguide. Only takes a split second for a rebel to arise. I'm no Sherlock in this mystery of life, but I've magnified the glass and I'm following the signs. Soul searching my misery, I write so certain there's more to this than meets the eye.
Bleeding Out featuring Zero T and Aaliyah Esprit. Talk to me about this tune.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this one actually. Nice bit of funk to it. I mean, Key and Zero T, I'm just a huge fan of his and have been for a long time. We worked together on a couple of bits, couple pieces of music that haven't actually come out. And maybe we'll never see the light of day, but this one was like, we nailed it. And it was we were just both really, really happy with how it came out. And then he obviously knows Aaliyah through working with, I think, North Quarter. And he was just like, straight away, I know I've got the person for the vocal on this. And I was like, okay, wicked.
Is that nice when the producer kind of has in their head who might be an additional feature and to complement you nicely? Yeah,
I think this is the beauty of like a collaborative project when you're like a vocalist, because you're not in charge of the tunes. It's like, this album is more than this isn't just my album, know, and that's the difference I think with something like this is like the amount of work all these producers put in like per tune it's crazy by the end of it, you know. And I'm so thankful to them for doing that, because you know it doesn't exist without these people, and it is crazy to think how much work and effort and how much of a collaborative process it actually is, and all the different stories behind each individual tune. You know, there's just...
Well, that's why we're doing this show, right? I want to give the insight to the people listening, so they understand a bit more of the deeper insight behind it. And just talk to me about the video as well, because shouts to friends at UKF for featuring the tune on their channel, and Sean and guys doing the video. Talk to us about the revolving camera concept and what that was like to film. Are you getting dizzy by the end?
Yeah, there was times actually. Yeah, there was times, and that was Sean's idea. And honestly, like, fair play to him. He absolutely killed. Like,
he's
him and
another
Carl.
big energy kind of guy who loves it as well.
Man.
Right?
He was like, he's like, I've got all these ideas that he's always had, and he's like, I keep mentioning them, and now they're just getting used like all the time. Like, he's obviously in his head, I think, thinking, I'm going to save that for this or whatnot, and then it's like, I think at some point he's just like, actually, you know what? Let's just do that now, because he knows it's a really good idea. And I suppose, you know, he's just looking to progress in his own career, and he just doesn't want to deny it to like Joe when he sort of mentions it and stuff. So he had this idea, the revolving cam. Honestly, him and Carl just made it work, and it just all came together so nicely. Like, they picked the locations. Obviously, every video we've done has had, you know, nature in it, and I think people who know me know that, you know, I like to get out in nature, and I feel like the symbiosis between human and earth is, you know, written a lot about in this album, and we wanted to represent that in the videos, the different videos that we did. So it was a no-brainer, really, and that video was pretty crazy. Like, that nighttime shot, we've scaled farmers' barbed wire fences to find a spot in a forest where we could put these lightsaber lights, and it was just a madness, man. It was like pissing down with rain. Like, honestly, the effort that went into that video was crazy, man. It was crazy. It was exciting. Like, these lights, this case for these lights was on it was heavy, man. You're talking 2-man carry, like, comfortably. One man awkwardly into the middle of nowhere, because we were sort of running out of daylight and running out of time, and we were going to drive in the opposite direction to another location they planned, but Aaliyah lived in Manchester, and then it was like the whole plan changed, and we just had to like ramshackle it together last minute to get that nighttime shot. But how it came out was just perfect. But it was just a classic on location kind of like quick fix solution that just came together really nicely. And honestly, that day was crazy, man. Like, driving up from London with the guys, meeting her like on location, and climbing up this waterfall and doing shots at all these different spots in this waterfall, and then going to the top of this like mountain, and like it was epic, man. It was such a good and fun day filming that video, and like what they came with, I think, you know, you pay a lot of money for that video, and like, fair play to the lads. Like, they put a lot of hard work in for, like, you know, the love. And
Eastern Edge Studios, Sean done the animations for the instant grats and stuff, did he?
Yeah.
So,
he did,
mate,
yeah.
Big love to Sean and Kyle for that.
Yeah.
You can enjoy Bleeding Out, featuring Zero T and Aaliyah Esprit.
You can't save me. What you
relief like I'm spreading wings. Days on end repenting for my sins. Like Socrates, I bring that moral spin. Every bar I give the run around, planting hope instead of seeds of doubt. A long time ago I made a vow, reveal my deepness, I'm bleeding out.
Don't know what you're thinking about me. I won't stop till I reach my dream. What I'm chasing, heart is beating free. I'm bleeding out, you can't save me.
Taking breaks, no hiatus. My right in organized chaos. Words immortal spoken in a seance. Daily channeling my demons. The middlemen are caught sleeping. My pen on the warpath got them retreating. Secrets are never worth keeping. Hidden gems of our underworld, holding value like a precious pearl. The treasure lost unless we set sail. Shared experience, the devil's in the detail. Fleeting glimpses of true focus. Trace the origins of our primal impulses. Enamored by the sequence of the solstice. My magnum opus is perpetually a motive. My magnum opus, perpetually a motive.
I'm bleeding out, you can't save me.
So, Paradise featuring Galaxy and Rhea. There had to be a Galaxy feature on this album, right?
It had to be, yeah.
Yeah, you're very good friends with John and Tom. I know that.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was the first track from the album to be released, right? All the way back.
It was
2022.
Yeah, it was the first one to be released. Not first one finished, I don't think, but it was in the early folder, and yeah, it was like, this one's worthy of a single, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, working with Galaxy Boys, obviously worked with them before, always a pleasure. Like, love what they do. Our connection's like so strong, and yeah, it's just a vibe when we play out. Like, there's nothing like playing out with your mates, basically. And I feel like it's similar when we work on music together, and they're happy to facilitate my deep emotive ramblings, which is big love to them. And working with like Rhea was a bit of a game changer, to be honest. Like, it really was. To and fro again, but like, I think the bars in that are some of my best on the album.
Yeah. And
genuinely, they were like the easiest to write, and it was all because I was working with Rhea. Like, we had this sort of idea. It was mostly her idea. In fact, it was pretty much all her idea of the concept of Paradise and the sort of like the shifting of like daydreaming about, you know, how your life could be and living in these different realms within your head, basically. That was kind of the concept, and just exploring, I don't know, like different levels of
that sounds
Paradise.
Right up your street.
It's huge up my street. I'm sure I influenced it slightly. I can't remember exactly how it came about, but it was, you know, predominantly the main concept of that track, I think, was forged by her. And then we started bouncing back and forward, and honestly, that tune just wrote itself like so quickly, because she would write something, I'd go away, and I was like, my God, this is just... It's almost quite nice when someone really fuels the concept. It makes it almost easier, because I have maybe like, I don't know, you think there'd be more pressure, but I'm not sure that's the case. It just flows so much more naturally because someone's feeding you their creativity, and then you're just, you know, feeding off it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm still really, really happy with that track. Like, I've been a huge fan of hers for years. I think she's a pioneer the vocalist game with everything that she's done, and it was just honestly a pleasure to work with her. And we've talked about working together a lot more in the future, because it was just very, very natural how it all came to fruition. And yeah, like, she smashed it.
Trying to escape inside, painting pictures, taking flight. Sweet daydream, daydream. Standing on the bridge of souls, not knowing which way to go. To extremes, extremes. I can't live in two worlds, 'cause some days it don't work. I need to find a way to blur the lines in my mind, connect my dreams with real life, to stand a day in paradise.
Escapism on the inside, a sensory semblance precisely entwined. Perceptive delight, trick of the mind, freehand artistry, where to draw the line. Caught between dystopia and paradise, bridge the gap, keep dreaming of face facts. Live the truth or picture life through Ray-Bans, searching for the arc, lost in the haystack. Heightened senses, subconsciously aware, sensitive to my surroundings. Stripped bare, lone existence, looped emotions, closure distance, searched open ocean. Stimuli smudge the colours, mirror the image. Fabric loosens the illusion, depicted vivid. Entwined DNA, twisted, opposites mimicked. Became one, dissipated inhibitions.
Trying to escape inside, painting pictures, taking flight. Sweet daydream, daydream. Standing on the bridge of souls, not knowing which way to go. To extremes, extremes. Yeah, I can't live in two worlds, 'cause some days it don't work. I need to find a way to blur the lines in my mind, connect my dreams with real life, to stand a day in paradise.
Piece the collage of a glass half full, metamorphosize with mood, attitude mercurial. The grass looks greener, vibrancy ethereal. Crossover concepts made of the same material. Flirt with the abstract, immersed in fiction. 'Cause Richard's made his bed with his addictions. Outlines of a mirage in the depth of his inscriptions. Blur reality, speaking third person descriptions. His last hope of leaving a lasting impression. Fabrication slowly became an obsession. Grip loose as he clings to the end of a tether, showing the delicate strength of a solitary feather. On the fence, found it tough to pick a side. Caught in between the fairy tale and hard truth of life. Drowning past times, they threw a lifeline that he'd sacrifice for one day in paradise.
Antidote featuring DRS and
Boss
Ember.
man.
Yeah, Goat, can you just feature on my album, please? Is that literally how? I imagine you've just got first name terms and a bat phone to ring DRS if you need to.
Do you know what? So mad, isn't it? Because, you know, it's no secret that DRS is like one of the biggest influences on my musical journey. From a drum and bass perspective, you know, the biggest influence. And one of the people who supported me more than anyone else, like in the early days, I think London can be a bit stush, and like if you're coming through, there's a bit of, I think it's got better, like I'd like to think so, but I think, you know, the Manchester wave, like we've all seen it, that sort of inviting nature, and I have a joke sometimes with friends up there, it's like Northerner in disguise, because I'm just all about that, like, yeah, let's like back each other and let's like help each other out, and I just, you know, it's just such a beautiful thing. And, you know, Del was at the forefront of that, and he's backed me from day dot. This tune was done a long time ago. One of the oldest, not the oldest, but one of the oldest.
With him?
With him.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, honestly, yeah, like actually, it was a tune in its own right for a while, and then it took a while to get it all finessed with him on it. Just because he's super busy, but yeah, he, you know, he was like, okay, straight away, was like on it, and yeah, like that was it really, and it's just still a pinch yourself moment. Like, I think, you know, hearing that tune that's an emotional one for me. I'm not gonna lie, because if you get like one of your idols on to feature on one of your tunes, it's a bit mad. Like even we went on a Ray Gun stag do, and it came out on the Friday. We were on his stag do, and obviously Ray Gun's like, you know, my best mate, and yeah, he was just like, come on then. We were in a hot tub in this bombshell, and he's like, come on then, play the tune. He's obviously, I think, heard it before, but we were playing it on Spotify, and he was just like, fucking like, you know, like he knows what it like sort of means, and how iconic that is for me. And, you know, to see him that happy, you know, it was an emotional moment that we were experiencing, because he's, you know, just can't believe it either, sort of thing, you know. And yeah, like obviously so many people on first name terms with Del, man. He's just a lovely dude who's got a huge heart and a lot of space for, you know, anyone really. And I think, you know, it's a testament to his character and personality that, you know, he gives people his time. And I think that's the most valuable thing, right? So props to Del, man, for featuring and being involved. Yeah, mad love. Like, just,
and when you listen to the tune, there's quite a lengthy sort of like breakdown, and you just know that he's coming into the tune with some force, you know, and it's just like washes over you, doesn't it? It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, man. I think the first time I heard him come in, it was like genuinely like a little tear in my eye, sort of thing. It was like one of those moments I was like, this, you know, this album is happening. Like, you know, it's like
tipping point or critical mass now. Yeah,
100%. You're getting people like DRS feature on your album. You know, it's not. You're not dreaming anymore, are you? You sort of, that dream's become a reality, and I think that's it's a very poignant moment.
Because Ember and DRS have worked together before, and Ember's been sort of making waves as well, in the early parts of his career as a solo artist.
Yeah, it started out as like a Dexel tune, but obviously because they were doing their own things, it made sense to sort of have them feature individually. And shout Sammy Nefos as well, like, because he put in a lot of work to that tune, like, and absolutely smashed it. Like, love to him.
Love to Adam as well, Serve.
Yeah. Everyone's had their involvement, so it was nice.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy, isn't it, when you think about it, that it was like Dexel, and then, I mean, mad, crazy times. It would have been nice, because it would have been the last tune as Dexel, but like, here you go, you're finding out that was the last Dexel tune.
There you go. Enjoy Anecdote.
Simple, life's too complicated. Drowning in the madness to keep hydrated. Dig digging deep in order to stay elevated. Choices never black and white, reality or matrix. Real or fakeness, subtle or blatant. We write the pattern just to find out there's a patent. Always in a hurry, but forever waiting. Existence is a contradiction of verifications. Matter of course, no place to judge. Sometimes the stupidest things are done out of love. Round of applause, crying tears of blood. A cold breeze silently sweeps, misleads, timely relief. Mimicking the subtlety when swaying through the reeds. Bringing back the balance in tune with our needs. Mixed sensations uncomfortably numb. Lost purpose, feeling dumb. Soul searcher, the web's been spun. Must nurture, nature's the one. At one, a harmonious lift. Pure fun found in the basic. Summertime is the epitome of this. As the sun sets, reevaluate the gifts. To truly live, forget about possession. Focus on the primitive like during adolescence. Solutions everywhere and remedies are ever present. Simplicity's the tip of one of life's key lessons. Open the portal, abandon the concept. In context, it's become a bunch of nonsense. Never on the fence, always giving my 2 pence. Minus optimism, the defense. Finding happiness in the midst of feeling melancholy. Walking down a creative path, the roads mostly rocky. Spending days on them for ourselves, feeling sorry. Standing in the crowd but never standing out like where's Wally. Feeling like a Wally, a victim of the status quo. Often the hardest thing to do is let go or go with the flow. They broke the bridges, so cross the river, jumping stepping stones. If we fall off, it's the stitches, elements, the antidote. Real or fakeness, subtle or blatant. We write the pattern just to find out there's a patent. Always in a hurry, but forever waiting. Existence is a contradiction of verifications.
Every second in the city where the rain falls, pray for sunshine, bullet holes in the stained walls. Same wars, mentally and physically. Parents prison visiting, statements made public also riveting. Innocent court cases, throw the book, give it in. Screaming in our 4 walls, coffins what we're living in. Coughing from this poisonous air, what we're breathing in. God fear is telling us to pray, we're not believing Him. But I can feel the sunshine on my face. Gotta spread love in everything I doesn't demonstrate. Trying to set it straight, money is the proof of evil. Trying to free up all my people. Heads most when no one hears you, but I ain't deterred, I refuse to live in fear. Keeping smiles on the faces of my people, keep them near. Complicated contradictions, rocky roads, keep them clear. If we gotta be the only ones who's steering at the wheel.
Shadows featuring Pixis. Talk to me about this tune.
Yeah, so that one came about just like talking online, and you know, we were just discussing working together.
Because you hadn't before, right?
No, I hadn't before. Yeah, and she was handling my publishing on S2K. We'd always had an email back and forth. I think she maybe like messaged me saying that she was making music, and then like started sending me some bits, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And yeah, just literally just naturally progressed from there. And I wrote the lyrics to the track, sent them back, quite a, you know, extensive back and forth, just trying to nail the track. And then yeah, I actually really like that one. It's quite a bit more subtle than,
it's more laid back, isn't it? than some of the other ones on the album.
Again, a bit shorter and sharper with the bars, maybe a little bit more catchiness to it. But also, I think what I like about it is it still has my deep emotive ramblings in there, but somehow it's got a bit of a catchy vibe to it. I don't know, like if that
feels
makes
a bit
sense.
more laid back in terms of the delivery as well, which is nice.
Yeah, it is. Subtle delivery.
Reach for the ceiling to see what's beyond the skies. Mixed feelings and trying to transcribe the maneuvers from these demons that I see before my eyes. My soul grieving, we all reaching for a prize. Soul need a splittering away the time. Hold secrets that could wash away the lies. Chasing shadows manifested in our minds. On a daily basis, fruitless with the seeds we've sown, ruthless in this Game of Thrones. The pain evident, blank expressions, too much negligence, forced suppression, stunted development, lifeless, reticent, along the way lost the essence. On a daily basis, fruitless with the seeds we've sown, ruthless in this Game of Thrones. The pain evident, blank expressions, too much negligence, forced suppression, stunted development, lifeless, reticent, along the way lost the essence.
The title track of the album, Weather the Storm, featuring Filth and Solar. I mean, what can you say?
I sort of ruined this part earlier, didn't I, when I kind of gave the insight already?
It's fine.
Yeah, well...
You nailed the duet, though, with Hannah.
The duet was fun, actually. I was surprised because I recorded the vocals and I was like experimenting with a bit of singing. I like to do that occasionally, but I can't really sing. But I'm just like, I like to bring tone to the mix, but there's a couple where I'm singing on the album. You would actually call it borderline singing, but I'm trying. And yeah, like we had these ideas and Phil being Phil used most of them. If you send Phil some stuff, he's going to throw it in the track. Yeah. Like anyone who works with Phil, don't send him anything you definitely don't want to be in there just for the sake of it. Because he'll find a way of making it. Yeah, I mean, I love him for that. He's like, yeah, you give me all this stuff to work with. He wants it in there, you know. I think I respect that. I respect it a lot. And then we, have to strip it back to a certain extent, and that's part of the process. But it's nice to have it all in there at the start, and then work your way back rather than being like, oh, I wish you'd have included that, At least you've got the canvas there to look at, and then you can kind of finesse it from there. And I guess with a number of different singing bits that I'd done, and then we were like, okay, we need to get a vocalist involved, and then obviously Hannah was signing to Hospital, and the Soulvent thing with Hospital was obviously happening, and I'd just been a huge fan of her work, from like Fiction to like Never End, like the body of work's crazy from her. She's got a beautiful voice, and yeah, we sent it over, and honestly, like that was when I got the stems back, it was quite beautiful because it was just like flip a neck, like this has been absolutely nailed. Yeah, and it was like there's so much here. Like we had to strip loads back. We ended up using little bits from every idea that she gave us, I think, which was really quite cool. And yeah, Phil went in, and then ended up that she decided I'm gonna actually sing the bit that Rich did. And yeah, together I think it works quite nice. Yeah, I think I really like it actually. And the way that all come together was it was beautiful. A really, really nice collaborative track, that one. And obviously I said earlier, props to Phil for hassling me for at least a couple of years to make the Weather the Storm tune.
Amazing. And it looked like you had fun on the video, right, as well?
The video was great, man. Yeah, the video was great. Yeah, nice little winter's day out in Brighton. Honestly, epic team again. Just awesome day out. Really great ideas, and just nature, the elements, you couldn't beat it. We were saying it'd be quite funny if it rained all day, because it would have been quite fitting with there actually being a storm. Yeah. But at the same time, I think we were quite happy that we were dry, weren't we, George? And it was actually a nice day.
The equipment survived it, and
yeah. Anyway, it came together beautifully, man. Yeah, really happy with all the videos and that track. Yeah.
Because this is a title track, you've got to introduce it. Go on.
Yeah, so this is Weather the Storm, my title track on my album featuring Filth and Solar.
Deep in thought, explore our nature, escape and press pause. Embrace flaws, start at the source, reflect and hold course. Back the dark horse of one with the force, creature comfort adored. Feel the warmth, in this together we weather the storm.
Doesn't multiply my problems, pull them into place. You give me a new perspective. Together we can go the distance, wherever that may be. And when we feel the tightest time, you weather the storm with me. Weather the storm.
We're in this together, we weather. Feel the warmth, we're in this together, we'll weather the storm. We're in wonder of this special thing we found. Connections that bond with a sound so unique. Music that we bleed, roots planted, years spent sowing seeds. Harmony found in a dark place, surface riding the same wave. Smiles met with smiles, nobody exiled, we at home in our wild. We live and breathe this life, no half hearts, pure love in the design. Foundation manifested over years, tip my hat to my peers. Sound sincere, energy primitive. The beauty in the eye of the storm is limitless. It's limitless, people. Make the most of it. Jam in the eye of the storm. When the storm comes, just let go, let loose. Do what you do.
Following signs.
Yeah, another little kind of funky, interesting track, that one. Really interesting track. Obviously unfeatured artist. Not sure if I can mention, so I just won't. Yeah. But yeah, an artist I respect a lot and whose production is, just insane. And this went through quite a few different transitions as well. We had 2 different versions, and we ended up going with this sort of kind of electronic, funky, vibey one, just because it was so different to anything else on the album. Kind of been a bit of a dark horse, that one. Like Rhea said, she'd been playing it out, and a few people saying they're really liking it, which is, it's good. Is nice to know. So we didn't really see it as much of a sort of playing out track, but clearly, like people were engaging with it in that medium. So that's cool. And I think they stripped me back quite a lot on this one, and I think it worked well, actually. Made it a little bit more catchy, a little bit less bars. So obviously the album's very bar heavy, which I obviously would want it to be.
Well, you got Javier Bardem, right?
The greatest pun of all time. I'll get a tattoo on me one day for you, Mike.
Thank you.
Javier Bardem. So good. I guess it was important to, have variety on the album. And I guess stripping it back sometimes, adds more to the track. And I think this was one of those examples where less was more, and I think it works really well.
Never sure of the wrong or the right. Sitting on the fence most of the time, whether to choose the dark or the light. Trapped in the circle, following signs. Never sure of the wrong or the right. Sitting on the fence most of the time, whether to choose the dark or the light. Trapped in the circle, following signs.
Dark or the light. Dark or the light. Dark or the light. Dark or
outcomes fated. Lost friends, scatty Gemini, I can't pretend. Absent purpose, living on loose ends. Never meant to cause hurt or mislead. Always sorry, but the pain's there to see. Trying to find my way out the maze, I want to be free. Wondering if I'll figure out where these signs lead.
Dark over light. Dark over light. Dark over light. Dark over light.
Never sure of the wrong or the right. Sitting on the fence most of the time. Whether to choose the dark or the light. Trapped in a circle following signs. Never sure of the wrong or the right. Sitting on the fence most of the time. Whether to choose the dark or the light. Trapped in a circle following signs. Not for the first time, invisible self-harm. Pains on the inside, exterior is calm. Unaddressed qualms, unnecessary dramas. Crucifying myself, nail scars in my palms. The journey just loops, same mistakes made. Jumping through hoops, met with cliches. What I actually want, forgotten in the fade. The shadow of myself that got lost in the shade.
Dark over light. Dark over light. Dark over light. Dark over light.
Never sure of the wrong or the right. Sitting on the fence most of the time. Whether to choose the dark or the light. Trapped in a circle following signs. Never sure of the wrong or the right. Sitting on the fence most of the time. Whether to choose the dark or the light. Trapped in a circle following signs.
Dark over light. Dark over light. Dark over light. Dark over light.
So The Truth, you've had Filth feature on Weather the Storm, and now The Truth.
Yeah.
Talk to me about The Truth. Can you handle the truth?
I don't think I can handle the truth, mate. I can't handle my own truth. No, I've been running away from my own truth for quite some time now.
Well, the
Mike.
results are pretty good.
Hopefully people resonate and they're finding some solace in that. Yeah, honestly, yeah, this track was just a hell of a lot of fun to make. Probably like the most fun I had making it, and the reason being is Filth just sent me an absolute banger, and I just remember just smiling ear to ear and being like, this is an absolute gully roller, like I'm gonna have some fun on this one, you know, like really like fun on this one. And yeah, I approached it in a different way and just trying not to take myself too seriously. And that was partly because the way the track was, but I also think this track evolved in quite a difficult time in my life when I found out my dad had like stage 4 cancer. And yeah, it was kind of mad because there was 2 tracks floating around that time. And one of them was Tree Line, which we had a different idea for. I didn't mention earlier, but we had a different idea for it because of what myself and Johnny were going through, which I won't go into, but it's similar to what I was going through. And it didn't end up coming to light because I think that idea is getting parked for future. Now, this one was just cathartic because Phil sent me this in a really difficult time and it kind of got me through it. And I was just, I wrote this very, very quickly, purged a lot of, I think, you know, pent up like frustration, anger and sadness by being like, I'm going to be fun for once and sort of write rap battle bars because the tune deserved it. And it, you know, you'd think you'd write something sad, but I think I needed in that moment something to take me away. And I'd written a lot of sad stuff already, but it was very early on in getting that news. My dad's actually doing really well now, for anyone who's wondering. Yeah, touch wood. Yeah, no, it's been a positive from, you know, since we found out that news. It's just really been positive news, so we feel very lucky. But yeah, that tune came at that time and was just, you know, something that I just needed and express and release, and to be like, you know, fuck this, fuck you, fuck everything. Like, I'm going in, I'm laying bars, I'm releasing that anger, that tension, and yeah.
I can't remember the last time I heard a drum and bass track where someone put the word prolapse into the bars.
Really? Yeah. You like that one? Yeah?
I did actually. Yeah.
I think more weirdly, I think the word I find funniest in that track is nincompoop.
I mean, you got to keep them guessing, right?
Have you clocked that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's put like some like almost like deep ragga. He calls it the Ira effect. He Ira affected that because he knew it was just such a stupid thing to say, but that was what that tune was about. It was about being silly and not taking life too seriously, because I was reminded in that moment that life is too short, you know. So I think that tune is a representation of that.
When I'm spitting written sagas of a nomad, true to the cause, moving like Galahad. Flow so cold, they will leave a man chaps. Man will roll to the dance with a team of comrades. Others compete, but they ain't got the knack. They try reenact, need to settle, relax. On some shady missions, I'm rapping till I collapse. This music made me the man I am, that's why I've been trapped. Since the beginning when there was first contact, immersed in the culture and escape give rap. Foundation surviving the test of time intact. System shakes your organs until it causes a prolapse. Feasting out here, don't deal with no scraps. Sit in the slow lane, get overlapped in the underground movement. Learn to adapt, see the hidden irony. History recapped, these man spitting bars that warrant a slow clap. I maneuver in ways some ain't got a map. No time to spit nonsense, I spit facts for the music and mayhem. I go on like a cat, every single weekend is another relapse. Pass the tequila, ain't drinking no schnapps. Turn up to a dance, I'm a multiple raps. My material high grade is getting dispatched.
The real question, can you handle the truth? 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 The real question, can you handle the truth?
The real question, can you handle the truth? question, can you handle the truth? You're a parody playing a part in a spoof. Aiming for the top, better get in the queue. Think there's a fast track thing, huffing balloons, drown in the madness. Message don't cut through. Something they know my story, but they ain't got a clue. Preconception is poison, gossiping is shrewd. If you don't know the half of it, don't let your lips move. Focus on yourself, you're on my cloud, it can poo. See me in the rave, probably getting loose. Find me on the dance floor, our gang rendezvous. Catch a vibe, do or die, cause a hullabaloo. In my 30s, but I feel 22. Cycling cycles, self-abuse. Caught in a loop, everyday deja vu. This ain't something that people just dip into. A lifelong love that became the glue. Lost in the music where I find solitude. Whether riding a high or feeling blue. Give myself to this movement, bleed on a tune. Write my own history without further ado. An open but real life non-fiction for you. Honest about struggles, how to lift someone's mood. Art's main purpose relate to the roots. It's bigger than any man, that's the truth.
Wayside featuring Mikal.
Yeah.
Second of the tracks to be released with the cool artwork, like the camera like panning down the street on the animation, with the buildings.
Yeah.
That was cool, man. And this is like sort of almost with the truth, like, gully sort of stepper type tune, yeah.
It the album needed that, a couple of gully ones. And I've obviously worked with Mikal before and like Third Eye. We always talk about working together more and more. I really love what he does. Love what he does. And I think this bar I'd actually sent to him previously when we did Third Eye, which was a Metalheadz release.
Yeah.
And he was like, I want to keep that. He's like, I love that. He's like, yeah, let me keep that and I'll write something to it. And then he wrote Wayside to the bar. So that one actually happened the other way around, which was quite nice. And yeah, man, just pretty stripped back, pretty simple, nice Metalhead sound. Had to get a bit of that in there. I feel like maybe the album, if it's lacking anything, maybe like one other like Dirty Roller would have been a nice, or like something a bit darker. I think it's quite liquid centric, but maybe that's I don't know, the only way that I see it. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's nice to get a couple of gully ones in there because I love gully drum and bass, and I love all forms of drum and bass, really. Yeah, I do. I genuinely really do. So I hope that's represented in the album and that all the different subgenres are in there somewhere. But yeah, I suppose you can't tick all the boxes. It's quite a difficult thing with a project like this. There's a lot of boxes to tick. So yeah, it's not always that easy. But yeah, Wayside, definitely nice to get a little sort of old school like influence track in there and on the album. Yeah, stomping.
Survive, stay strong, fight, test your endurance until the morning light. Shiver down your spine, something in the air feels right. No rules apply, once in a while fall by the wayside. Game on, next move, rewrite the chapter. Change view, the aperture capture. The deep blue, be honest with yourself. Who's who? Many voices seem skewed, overwhelming choices. You choose, no spoilers or ruse. Pursue the origin back to the hue. something in the air feels right. No rules apply. Once in a while, fall by the wayside. The end is nigh. Unpretender guys who befriend the lie. Life's for transcending time. I lend an eye. I got free, so I bend the line. Surrender my mind. No hidden agenda. Here the splendor when I speak what I scribe. No cheating tonight. Contenders swept aside by the wayside. Wave we ride. Run fast, hide. In the undergrowth, only the fittest survive. Stay strong, fight. Test your endurance until the morning light. Shiver down your spine. Something in the air doesn't feel right. No rules apply. Every man for himself. Fall by the wayside. Something in the air feels right. No rules apply. Once in a while, fall by the wayside.
Second Mike Kiss feature on the album, Another Day. Brackets Move Like a Lion.
That always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
That Joe Goss can take credit for that. I think I'd take the brackets out if I could.
I remember him like basically just rounding up a bunch of people, like press ganging them, forcing them down into the studio and go, right, we're crowdsourcing this.
That actually started with just me and him doing it in the studio together, and then with Johnny, and then being like, okay, I think we're gonna need more people. So like, obviously, he got the office involved, and the rest is history. Probably why the Move Like a Lion bits in brackets. He's like, we need to emphasize the fact that all the effort that went into getting this little hook bit at the end of the track. Well, hold tight, George. Come on,
George. Yeah, Shabs was on that as well, and Tilo as well, and Ali, I think.
Sick.
Shout to all those people.
Yeah, big up.
Obviously, you talked at the start of the show about your inspirations and hip hop. You know, feels like there was always going to be a hip hop kind of track on your debut album.
Yeah, in honesty, if I went back, I'd probably have another one on there as well, because I feel like it's a style that suits me very naturally. Got a lot of space to be heard, and when you're rambling the deep and meaningfuls, I think space can be your friend for you to really truly make, help your message to cut through the music. Yeah, man, this is just like chilled summertime. Basically took myself back to a uni headspace and kind of just was like, I want to write something that's a homage to my misspent youth. And
the production's clean as.
His hip hop's so good. Yeah, his hip hop's so good. Man, he's got so much hip hop. I'd do an album of hip hop. But like he's got big plans. So like props to Johnny, man. His hip hop's amazing. Like he's just got soul. He's just got it. He's got the full package, like for sure, man. And I love that tune. Actually, I really like that one. It's good.
Another Day, brackets Move Like a Lion, featuring Mike Kiss.
Another day, another dream. A few more steps en route to the peak. Another day, another theme. Another piece of the mystery. Another day, another dream. More belief that life ain't what it seems. Another day taking another leap. Another winning streak. I move easy, so lay back, I'm basically lying. Breezy defying the laws of science. I stand in defiance on my own and an alliance. Staring at the stars for guidance. A Koch track, simplify the flow, barely trying. Breathe out, take a moment, I got my eye in. Climbing on the clouds, drawing the silver lining. The pen's gold though, colour in the sun shining. Picture painted through rhyming. Future foretold on the wall like graffiti writing. High flying, a rare UFO sighting. Feel the warmth of the psilocybin. Stress evaporates when I articulate. Not for other rappers, send them straight to heaven's gate. Flows a paperweight, turn them to a paper plane. Origami skills, aim for the bin and throw away. I'm just playing mate, toying with the wordplay. Scrabbling for coloured squares, spitting an absurd way till the syllables hit. Poetry in motion, that Scroobius pit. Dissecting this shit in finite detail as I derail off the scale. Man too seismic, a unique hybrid. Harnessing energy, symbolic synergy on autopilot. Shine light, ultraviolet, deafened by silence. Voices in my head trying to quieten the violence. Connect dots like Orion. All look further like the Mayans. Mysteries contained, still unexplained by the science. I hear the tears of a clown crying. The passion lost amongst the compliance. Curiosity killed the cat, so I move like a lion. Move like a lion. Move like a lion. Another day, another dream. A few more steps en route to the peak. Another day, another theme. Another piece of the mystery. Another day, another dream. More belief that life ain't what it seems. Another day taking another leap. Another winning streak. Another day, another dream. A few more steps en route to the peak. Another day, another theme. Another piece of the mystery. Another day, another dream. More belief that life ain't what it seems. Another day taking another leap. Another winning streak. Move like a lion. Move like a lion. Move like a lion. Move like a lion.
Escapologist featuring Askell and Aleda, if I say it correctly.
I like the flair on that.
I think. Well, that is how you say it. I heard it from Saini. Great to have a collaboration with label mates on the album. This is my favourite tune, I think. This is a close one.
Let's not beat around the bush, mate. It's both of our favourite tunes. This is our bromance tune, mate.
Yes, it is. I just think it comes together perfectly, right? Like it's the production, the instrumentals, like high energy and kind of sci-fi liquid, which is what they're going for, right? But then some of the lyrics, and you talked about symbiosis earlier in the show, right? Like,
it just fits. Like, this came out as like a 4-tune folder. I really pushed for it to be that particular tune. That I picked. I was like, no. I was like, I want to write on this one. And like maybe other people in the A&R process were like, I think this would be and I was like, no. Please let me write the track that I want to write. And it was like one of those. Just grab it. Yeah. And it wrote itself, and it was just like, honestly, just what you said, the symbiosis in that track is, I just feel like it's perfect. And I enjoyed writing that so much because I love astronomy. I love thinking about extraterrestrial life, all these things, like, like what are we doing here? How have we ended up here? Like, what does it mean to exist? Like, that lyric sort of encompasses all the questions I ask on a daily basis, and that I know I'll never get the answer to, but that I'm kind of like just happy in my own curiosity. And that is what that tune represents, really. And when I sent the vocal back, the little touches they did on certain things with like, I think it's maybe a vocoder, I'm not too sure, but like, I'm not the effects guy, so the effects police don't at me. But I think that's what they put on my voice, and just to give it that sort of depth and width, actually, maybe. Just so many little touches, and the little sort of bit where I go a bit double time, like that's, for me, some of the most fun I've had writing, just hitting that flow, you know, and it just came so naturally. And then, you know, the flow did, but then obviously thinking of the right words to put in there to make it all make sense and wrap it up was pretty tech, but yeah, just really, really enjoyable. And I just like the whole vibe of it. And yeah, that's why I ended up just, I think if I had to pick one, obviously I've got lots and lots of favorites, but there's just something about that track. And obviously we'd never worked together before. Yeah. I knew a little bit about them, you know, I'm not going to like mince words. You know, they're like upcoming artists on like Soulvent, but like the level of production, everything, it was like blew me away really. It was just like, wow man, these Finnish dudes are absolutely on it. Like,
I think it just also highlights that we both know what we're talking about, right? Because this is the best tune.
Your words, not mine, Mike. You're the presenter of this podcast, so you've got to take that hit right there. Thanks, mate.
You can enjoy Escapologist featuring Askell Nalele because it's the favourite tune on the album.
Envy, simplicity, wonder how this begun. Want to go back chronologically to when we worship the sun. Embrace equilibrium, a purer perspective of love. Forgotten our origins and how to be at one with our planet. Too much pressure, impossible to manage. Short-term pleasure, emotionally unbalanced. False palace, sip from the poisonous chalice. Good luck in these rapids. Encourage bad habits, an ocean in which to drown. Reality a doubt, shrouded by a storm cloud. All-consuming, what's it mean to exist? An illusion. Symbiosis of the earth separates us from our ego. Really, what do we know? Need to keep ish eco. There's beauty in limitation. We're only kept apart by 6 degrees of separation. Life rotation, rely on the solar. Daily cycles, clock ticks over. The most delicate balance, remarkable, following no pattern. I ponder if a planet in this universe has ever given an organism enough time to evolve beyond comprehension, immersed in the essence, shaping expression to escape its own demise. I assimilate how we're literally living on a miracle, yet every day there's a struggle to survive. Conflicted on how society favors the individual and the fact that we are running out of time. Infinite capability, life found a way. Someone stepping back through the vast vacuum of space, who spun a cosmic web, created this place. Maybe footsteps are being traced from an ancient culture or foreign being. Billions of years have passed, insignificance is free. An ambiguous perception of a poetic novelist. Call me the escapologist. How this begun. Want to go back chronologically to when we worship the sun. Embrace equilibrium, a purer perspective of love. Forgotten our origins and how to be at one. I ponder if a planet in this universe has ever given an organism enough time to evolve beyond comprehension, immersed in the essence, shaping expression to escape its own demise. I assimilate how we're literally living on a miracle, yet every day there's a struggle to survive. Conflicted on how society favors the individual and the fact that we are running out of time. Infinite capability, life found a way. Is someone staring back through the vast vacuum of space? Who spun the cosmic web, created this place? Maybe footsteps are being traced from an ancient culture or foreign being billions of years apart. Insignificance is freeing, ambiguous perception of a poetic novelist. Call me the escapologist.
Getting towards the end now, Rich. More to Life featuring Etherwood.
Yeah.
Now, there's some serious contrast and back and forth in the lyrics here, this would probably be my second favourite if I had to pick one.
So,
is it?
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say,
I
almost feel like I've betrayed this track by saying that Escapologist is my favourite, because actually, I don't think I could decide between the two. I don't think I could decide.
It's nice that they're together, so I don't have to keep on the Spotify.
It's interesting that they're ordered like that as well. But More to Life is, a long story about how it sort of, it's the oldest track on the album. It was the one that was first done. It's an idea that, honestly, if I was to estimate how old that lyric is,
I was going to ask you, when you say it's the oldest, how old are we talking?
Well,
in the 25-year continuum,
the track itself, I'd say the first draft me and Woody had of that track was at least 7-8 years ago.
Wow!
It was the first one parked into the folder. It was originally potentially going to be a release on Hospital for him, and as soon as they said, it doesn't really fit on what they were using it for, I was like, let me bank that for my album, please. And he was like, yep, no worries. I was like, sweet. Which was, just great, because it meant a lot to me, that track. So, first draft I said 8 years. And then lyric-wise, honestly, I wrote that when I was in Southampton at uni. May have finished uni and just been being a lad down there for a couple of years after uni. But, honestly, that is an old lyric that meant a lot to me. And I was sort of saving it for something special. And then Woody and I played together in Sheffield. Had a little afters at the hotel and we're chatting. And I was like, I'd love for you to have this lyric. I was like, I think it'd suit your production really well. It means a lot to me. I'd love to send it to you when, we get back home and whatnot. And he was like, I'd love to hear it. You know what Woody's like, man. He's just the most beautiful soul. Like that dude, man. He's something else, like just the nicest human being. And he was like, send it. And then he worked on it, got a first draft, all of that happened, and we parked it for the album. And then when it came to album time, we were sort of like, okay, we need to bring this into the future or the present. And he adapted it, updated versions, like many different versions. We then went back and re-recorded the lyrics, and actually, I guess, to be honest, in that sense, it wasn't the oldest tune, because it was done quite near the time of release that we kind of went back in and polished it off. I think that lyric's just about, again, it's that kind of similar message to Escapologist, isn't it? It's just that philosophical view on life, and that's kind of what I'm all about. Definitely I'm getting more into that in my old age as well. But it's nice to know that my 20-something self wrote that lyric, it's crazy.
Ahead of its time almost,
yeah,
right?
I'd like to think so. Like, ahead of its time within my journey, I wasn't, I'm philosophical, but I wasn't probably behaving in such a way when I was that age, but it was always in my core. I guess I was just wasting a lot of time getting pissed up and stuff, and just, messing about. And that bar, I suppose, was ahead of its time in my journey as a human being. I feel like it's more symbiotic with how I behave these days, and that's why there's beauty to it. And it was the only way to sort of finish off the album. It was, honestly, that was the last tune of the album from the day from 8 years ago. That's how I envisaged it. It was just like, there's something about that lyric that just means a lot to me, and it just had to, it had to be Woody and it had to end like that. And yeah,
well, you can introduce this one now then.
So this is More to Life, the final track on my album, bar that outro, featuring Everwood.
There's much more to life than meets the eye, it's a miracle. Every day we're alive, chosen against all odds by surprise, to find our place in history, then figure out the mysteries. Challenge to our limits, put to the test. Set the bar high, won't settle for no less. There would be no bliss without any stress. Cleanse all our sins, we'd have nothing to confess. Remove the hate, where would we find love? No devil underground, no Lord up above. If people didn't lie, who would we trust? There's plenty of money, or never enough. We think we're educated, but really we're lacking knowledge. Most of us are feasting, others struggle and forage. Go with our gut instincts, or try to place logic. Is it time to slow down or move supersonic? Life-giving water disappears into the sun. At times there's drought, then the rains bring flood. What some humans give, others draw blood. If we didn't feel pain, we would never feel numb. Minus the beat, then no use for a heart. No finish line, then who knows where to start? Do you favour the light or lurk in the dark? Occasionally we cry simply because we laugh. It's all relative, like when the planets align. We're a very small part of this intricate design, but play a key role in this story of time as we fight for glory. What's his, what's mine? Time after time we witness long talk and riddles. The masses wanting the nibble, but dirty underhands fiddle more than a little. Third parties play piggy in the middle. Understand any war on this earth should be considered civil.
Right. Okay, we've listened through the album, Weather the Storm, from Visionobi. Just as we get to the end of the show then, Rich, I just wanted to talk to you about looking forward a little bit. So on the 3rd of June, we're launching your album, the album launch party.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. It's at Colour Factory In Hackney?
Yeah, little outdoor space at Colour Factory, nice little intimate affair. Wicked venue, obviously Hackney Wick. Lots in store.
You're gonna have some guests joining you, aren't you? I don't know if we can say.
No, not really.
You'll have to come to the show to see who the guests are.
It's really difficult to work out who they might be. Yeah. Like super tricky. Yeah. So yeah.
But the people we can tell you about, Heather Wood. Obviously, we've just been talking about how nice he is, and he's a super sick DJ as well. I've some of my best memories of raving have been when he's playing. So I'll be there gassing him up. Don't worry. Vector, he's doing some bits right now as well, as is Lally, and we also got Dushy there as well. Yeah. So, I mean, you must be looking forward to that. You're doing a bit of DJing yourself, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I'm actually launching sort of this DJ MC, like...
hybrid.
Yeah, album showcase set there. Got an hour and a half. Going to try my best to finesse it. But it's not actually that easy DJing and MCing at the same time, I've found out. But it's intense, but a lot of fun. Like I've literally been practicing in Pirate, and it's like I come out of Pirate and I am like emotionally drained because I'm like attempting to kind of like mix, and whilst I'm in the mix, I'm like rapping bars. Like I'm gonna see, because obviously I want to make sure it's polished. So I'm not going to go too over the top with it, but there'll be like sections like that, live PAs, specific tunes I'm playing that I know that I've got bars that go to. It's like going to be nicely thought out with a little bit of improvising in there. And yeah, just really excited to launch it because it's just a long time coming, and there's nothing better than like celebrating an album than, you know, a launch release party. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Come on down.
We'll be there celebrating. Where else are you going to be doing this album showcase kind of?
So I've hit up a few promoters, and the only ones that are locked in so far is Electric Castle in Romania. Sick. Which is pretty crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I'm out there hosting a bunch of sets, and then going to showcase my album as well. And when's
that happening?
That is,
put you on the spot here, sorry.
You got me, yeah. It's in July. Does that help?
Yeah, that's the month.
Electric Castle
July 2023, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to find out Electric Castle in Romania, not far from Cluj. Awesome festival. I think this is my third time there. It's wicked, and I seem to have a strong bond with Romanians, because I think this is going to be my 10th time playing out there, which bar Croatia, which obviously is like Outlook, hospitality, is like the most I've ever played than anywhere in Europe. So love to all my Romanian family. And then Bristol, Intrigue, Thekla for Ben Soundscape, who is also an absolute don, who I'm pretty tight with. And he was like, I want to book it. I sort of approached a few people being like, look, you can have first refusal before I start pitching it elsewhere. And he was like straight away on it. So yeah, awesome. love to Ben. Looking forward to probably doing quite a different set actually to what I'll do on the 3rd, because it's Thekla. It's a nighttime event.
When's that one?
That's the 16th of June, I'm pretty sure. Don't hate me if I got that wrong, Ben. But no. Yeah, so any Bristol family want to see what the non-fuss is all about. I had to get in there, Mike. You know me.
Come on.
I'm sorry, but yeah, come on down to Thekla on the 16th of June.
Sick. Okay, and the DJing thing's here to stay, is it? Or is it this just an album
I'd like
thing?
It to be, yeah, because...
Get that DJ money?
Get that DJ money, mate, yeah, like, I'm not going to shy away from that. Like,
got to press play? Yeah,
press play. Show them how easy it is. Like, I can MC at the same time that you lot are pressing sync now.
Pressing sync.
I'm getting cancelled for that one. Nah, in all honesty, like it's tough. Like it is tough. But doing the two together is really difficult. But partly elevate myself as an artist. Would like to do this music thing full time, and realistically most of our revenue is brought in from live shows, and you know, MCs are paid way less than DJs, and you know, I'm a recording artist now. It's time to level up. I'd like to do this full time so I can support my daughter and, you know, do more music.
Well, I've always known you as somebody trying to get even just your name up the flyers or in the same size font and all that kind of stuff for years. And I think you've done made strides in doing that, right?
It's tough being an MC in this game, man. And I'll talk about it a lot. And people, me and Focus call it the moan zone and all this stuff.
Don't look in the YouTube comments.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But like, I don't know, that stuff. You kind of, I try and respond to that stuff with a bit of humour these days.
Yeah.
I don't actively look for it, but it's there, and it's not easy, man. You're fighting a losing battle from the off, and I've been fighting that battle for 25 years. So, yeah, I guess, I've had DJs I've worked with, and then, even now, like, you think you're working with certain people, and then something else comes along, and, there's someone else they can work with, and there's always someone that, that someone else thinks is better than you or prefers, and it's like you're relying a lot on somebody else for your security to do something you love doing. So there's many levels to this, and if I can pull it off long term, I guess it's solidifying my own security in the game by I'm not relying on a DJ to get a booking for a DJ. I'm getting a booking off my own back and off my own right, which is how I think it should be anyway.
Yeah.
But the whole pairing up system and the whole reliance that comes from promoters and labels kind of leaves a lot of people out in the cold sometimes, I think, and it can be a very ruthless industry and ruthless game. So I guess this is me being like ruthless back. I'm like, no, I'm here and I want to do my thing, and I don't want to have to kind of pander to somebody else's regime or game plan. I want to do what I'm doing. And
I'm glad we're supporting you with the album, and also by helping you launch your DJ career. I hope it really takes off for you. Next will be Visionobi, the producer.
Do you know what? Weirdly, that was what I did at uni, and hats off to the producers, because that is a different level.
A lot of personnels have gone into that thing,
mate. Production is techie, man, and like respect to anyone who's finessing production, because I did it at university, and I find I didn't really have the attention span to sit in front of a computer for that long, and maybe I would have got to a point, I think I was close to getting to a point where it would have become a lot easier actually, and potentially maybe a regret of mine, and I have thought about revisiting it recently. So we'll see. I mean, if I can end up making this work and go full-time music, 100 I'll start making music. But at the moment, I need to pay the bills. So part-time carpentry only that's what's facilitating that. So until full-time music comes along, that's what I'm gunning for with this. And then hopefully I can just do more and more music stuff, which is ultimately what I want to be doing.
Snowball effect.
Yeah.
Right, just closing thoughts then. For anybody that's got their copy of the album, you've written a kind of paragraph in there saying thank you to certain people. And I know, because I saw the first one of those, that it had to be cut down a lot, right? So this is to fit on, or, whatever, just to keep it succinct. But this is your platform to, add anything to that, or
in honesty, I didn't really name drop anyone. And the reason for that is because there was legit too many names to mention, like we mentioned 25 years in the making. If I go back to anyone who's influenced my journey, like I'm the kind of person that is so thankful that I'd have to thank like just people who have had even minor influence or whatnot, but all of that has led to this moment right here. This is the culmination of a career's worth of work, and you don't get anywhere without a little help along the way. And I've had a lot of help along the way. And, just to anyone who I've crossed paths with, anyone who supports my music, anyone who sends me a message on social media, telling me that they've resonated with something I've written, or that it got them through a really tough time, anything like that, that stuff.
Someone at Printworks crying about
she actually first came up to me at Sun and Bass, and she told me on stage at Sun and Bass, she was like, you make me cry. And I was really taken aback by that. I'm not gonna lie, like that one was a wounder. And we've spoken since on social media, and she popped up again at Printworks, and then I obviously announced it on the mic and stuff, because I'm saying it in jest. like being like, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but obviously it's a good thing. It's like that connectivity. You know, I don't write my deepest, darkest struggles to not, you know, it's obviously cathartic for me. It's like my therapy is my writing, but of course I want to help people and connect with people through that, and that's the most beautiful thing. And honestly, the messages you get sometimes, it's actually mad. Like there's just too many factors that end up, you know, that have gone into this body of work, and I'm just truly thankful to anyone who's helped me along the way and been part of this journey. Like it just means the world.
Those people will know who they are.
Yeah, they will.
Thank you for listening to episode 60 of the Soulvent Records Podcast. Thank you for listening to Rich's album, Weather the Storm. We look forward to seeing you at his album launch event at Colour Factory in Hackney on the 3rd of June. And we'll see you in the next show. Peace.
Safe.
I find solace in my beliefs and have blind faith in humanity, even when the chips are down and all seems lost. Real living doesn't come at a cost. Realization of this causes expansion of the mind and breeds a beautiful landscape that was otherwise impossible to find. Nature harmonizes whether tranquil or violent, chorus of noise or silent. It was always meant to be. Serenity can be attained if we let go of our inhibitions. Happiness can be found in the simplest of things. The obvious answer is often the right one. Overcomplication causes negativity to breed, as does our consumerist society, which holds no true value. Greed equals sadness, and the exploitation of our planet's resources is suicide. Time is something to be cherished and made the most of. Relationships are the building blocks to success. Family is foundation and not exclusive to a bloodline. Nobody ever made it on their own. War is confusion. Borders are born from fear. Culture should be acclaimed and our differences celebrated, because we are one race, human. One day I hope we look at this world through the same eyes with empathetic vision, eradicating hate whilst understanding that context has many different perspectives. There is but one eventuality in order to guarantee our survival. Peace.